iMac G3 era. Released in August of 1998, this revolutionary all-in-one desktop computer saved Apple from financial ruin and fundamentally changed the consumer electronics industry with its translucent, egg-shaped plastic enclosure. It integrated a 15-inch cathode ray tube display alongside a PowerPC G3 processor and an internal hard drive encased in a vibrant, bondy blue housing that starkly contrasted with the brownish-looking boxes of the era. The machine was intentionally designed for the nascent internet age, omitting the legacy floppy disk drive entirely in favor of modern USB ports, and a built-in modem that allowed users to get online with a simple two-step setup process. Subsequent updates to the specific machine introduced a wider spectrum of colors like grape, lime, and tangerine, alongside slot-loading optical drives that replaced the original tray-loading mechanisms. It stood out as a cultural icon of the late 90s, representing a bridge between the old world of corporate computing and the new world of personal, interconnected digital expression. iMac G4. Arriving in January of 2002, this radical redesign abandoned the bulky form factor of the cathode ray tube era in favor of a flat panel liquid crystal display (LCD) that seemed to float in mid-air. The machine utilized an adjustable chrome neck attached to a hemispherical white base, which housed the PowerPC G4 processor, a hard drive ranging up to 160 GB, and an optical drive. This unique articulation allowed users to tilt and rotate the screen with a gentle touch, creating an incredibly ergonomic desktop workspace that had never been seen before in consumer computing. Because all the heavy heat-generating components were stored in the dome-shaped base, the screen itself could remain impossibly thin, which was a stark contrast to most thick monitors at the time. The machine came bundled with spherical white Harman Kardon speakers that plugged directly into the base, offering high-fidelity audio that matched the premium nature of the computer. It remains one of the most celebrated examples of industrial design in tech history, proving that a desktop computer could also be an elegant piece of modern architecture. iMac G5 era. Launched in August 2004, this generation consolidated the entire computer into a single rectangular display housing, creating the distinct architectural template that the line still uses today. It suspended a thick white polycarbonate screen enclosure above the desk surface using an angled aluminum foot, placing the PowerPC G5 processor, logic board, and a slot-loading optical drive directly behind the liquid crystal panel. This model focused heavily on internal airflow and cooling to manage the immense heat generated by the high-performance processor, utilizing advanced internal fans that pulled air through the bottom grille and exhausted it out the back. The clean layout of this machine was inspired heavily by the mid-2000s iPod craze, sharing the same glossy white aesthetic and clean lines that define Apple's pop culture peak. Later mid-cycle refreshes to the G5 line added an integrated iSight webcam directly above the display, turning the computer into a television-like entertainment hub for bedrooms and dorm rooms. Polycarbonate Intel iMac era. Introduced in January 2006, this pivotal transitional model looked identical to its immediate predecessor, but replaced the PowerPC chips with Intel Core Duo and Core 2 Duo processors. This internal swap allowed the consumer desktop line to achieve unprecedented performance gains, making it capable of handling demanding creative workflows like multi-stream video editing and complex photo processing that previously required a professional workstation. The move to Intel architecture meant that for the first time in history, users could officially run Windows natively on their Mac hardware using Apple's Boot Camp software, a feature that attracted millions of PC users. These machines ran much cooler and quieter than the G5 models they replaced, showing the immediate benefits of the new chip partnership. This era proved that Apple was willing to completely abandon its long-standing internal architecture overnight if it meant delivering a massive leap in processing efficiency to its users. Aluminum iMac era. Marking a major material shift in August 2007, this iteration abandoned the white polycarbonate plastics of the early decade in favor of a professional casing made entirely of anodized aluminum and glass. Available in 20-inch and 24-inch configurations, the machine featured a striking black bezel around the display and a glossy screen cover that enhanced color saturation for multimedia playback. The front glass was held in place by powerful magnets, allowing technicians to lift it away to access the display beneath, while the rear housing retained a black plastic plate for ventilation and port placement. This era also introduced the ultra-thin aluminum wired keyboard, which featured low-profile keys that mimic the typing experience of a laptop. By moving away from consumer-grade white plastics, this machine positioned the desktop as a high-end centerpiece for modern homes, appealing to creative professionals who wanted power without a giant desktop footprint. Uni-body iMac era. Debuting in October 2009, this generation refined the metal design by utilizing a uni-body construction where the entire rear housing was milled from a single piece of aluminum, effectively eliminating all visible seams on the chassis. The display options transitioned to a cinematic 16:9 aspect ratio, offering massive 21.5-inch and 27-inch screens that utilize in-plane switching technology, also known as IPS LCDs, for incredibly wide viewing angles and accurate color reproduction. In late 2012, this unibody design was radically evolved into an ultra-slim variant that used an advanced manufacturing technique called friction stir welding to join the aluminum panels together, resulting in a razor-thin edge that measured just 5 millimeters thick. To achieve this hyper-slim profile, the internal optical drive was permanently removed, and the display glass was laminated directly to the liquid crystal panel to completely eliminate the traditional air gap and drastically reduce screen glare. This decade-long unibody era represented the absolute pinnacle of traditional aluminum desktop design, prioritizing an incredibly thin profile, massive display real estate, and a silent mechanical footprint for the modern home office. Retina iMac. Launching in October of 2014, this era brought high-density pixel counts to the desktop for the first time with the introduction of the Retina 5K display on the 27-inch model, which was later joined by a 4K version of the smaller 21.5-inch configuration. With a resolution of 5120 by 2880 pixels, the screen packed over 14 million pixels into the glass, making individual pixels completely invisible to the human eye at a normal working distance. Later updates in this era introduced wide-color P3 displays, which could show millions of more colors than standard monitors, making it an essential tool for Hollywood color grading workflows. The internal storage options shifted towards the Fusion drive, which combined a small slice of fast flash storage with a large mechanical hard drive to balance speed and capacity, although pure solid-state drives or SSDs would eventually become the standard. This period pushed Intel's silicon and traditional cooling systems to their absolute limits, packing desktop workstation power into a chassis that remained visually identical to the slim aluminum models of the previous years. Apple Silicon iMac era. Introduced in the spring of 2021, this current era represents a total reimagining of the desktop computer built entirely around custom M-series processors that combine the CPU, GPU, and system memory onto a single, highly efficient slice of silicon. By eliminating the bulky logic boards and heavy thermal cooling systems required by legacy architecture, Apple reduced the internal components to the point where the entire computer measures just 11.5 millimeters thin from edge to edge. The design pays homage to the original G3 models by offering a spectrum of vibrant colors with color-matched braided cables, keyboards, and mice. It features a brilliant 24-inch 4.5K display, an advanced 6-speaker sound system, and studio-quality microphones, resulting in a completely silent, fanless desktop experience that balances high performance with a playful modern aesthetic. It completely redefined what a consumer desktop looks like, transforming the computer from a heavy aluminum appliance into a light, thin design piece that seamlessly blends into any room or workspace environment. Which iMac generation is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below.